But I will be leaving it open for some questions in after everything is said. So if you do have any questions, just know that we will be able to answer those for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen of our presentation, and we'll go ahead and get started. All righty. So if someone can unmute themselves just to make sure that they can see this, I would definitely appreciate that. I want to make sure technology is working.
Yes, it's good.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much. All righty. So today we're going to be talking about protesting your taxes, because most of you guys have probably got your notices this week of the increased value. And right now, just to let you guys know, this happens every year in typically in April. They're giving you guys an estimate notice of what the value is at. It does not get finalized until October. So there is this opportunity for you guys to protest your taxes, as well as assure that you have all your exemptions on it. So we're going to talk about that today. So the first part we're going to just chat about is what our goal for our webinar is today. So the goal of our webinar is, one, we're just to talk a little bit about us. If you guys don't know a little bit about us, because I know a lot of people have passed this on to some friends and have not had the opportunity to work with us. So just a little bit about us. I'm going to give you a market update as well of what's going on in the San Antonio and surrounding areas. We're going to talk about how to protest, as well as how we can help. And then at the end, we'll leave it open for questions. I factored in about an hour for us. So if we do need some more extra time, I'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you guys. So first, a little bit about us. We are the Castillo Real Estate Group. Some of you guys have had the opportunity to work with some of our team members. If you have not had the opportunity to meet me, my name is Zach Castillo. I am the owner, co-owner of the Castillo Group, along with my wife, Mariana Castillo. So we sell in the San Antonio and surrounding areas, as well as Houston. So we're here to help anyone who is looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, as well as give real estate advice. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our market update. So one of the biggest things that a lot of people were a little shocked about is how crazy of an increase their value has seen in their tax notice. Well, the reason for that is because the property values have gone up. So I'm going to kind of walk y'all through what's happened in the past year. So our market update, this is San Antonio Board of Realtors releases this information monthly. We just received the March information yesterday. So right now, the average sales price in San Antonio in the whole board of real estate agents is $374,168. That is a 19% increase since last year. And in fact, from 2020 to 2021, so last year when there was an increase as well, it was a 14% increase. So we have been seeing in just the past 2 years since COVID started, a 33% in all home values. So if you're wondering why the values are jumping up so highly, especially on the taxing side for the county, it's because of this increase. However, there are some areas where in the county, they're appraising houses higher than what the market value is. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But the county is taking advantage of these increased values to, of course, collect more tax dollars for the county, for the city. And so we're going to be able to make sure, one, that if it's accurate, or two, if it's inaccurate, and kind of walk y'all through that. Average days on market in San Antonio is 34. Average price per square foot is 183. That is a 24% increase since last year. Months of inventory, we're at 1.2. So this is one of the most important numbers and why these values are increasing so rapidly and so high. What this means is, hypothetically, if no new home came on the market, and right now there's about 3,700 homes on the market today, no new home came on the market in the San Antonio real estate industry, it would take about 1.2 months. So we're looking about 5 weeks for every home to sell. Last month, it was at 1. It's the lowest San Antonio has ever seen. Before COVID, we were looking in the 3s, so about 3 months of inventory. Now we're looking at about 1 month of inventory. And so when we have low inventory, that means the demand is high, which increases prices, which is why we're seeing this 19% increase over 1 year. On average, prior to that, we were looking at 6% increase. That was kind of industry standard throughout the whole nation. So that's the reason why these values are going up. The county is trying to catch up to what's happening. So going into it is, how do we protest these taxes? What are some steps that we can do and what we can help, especially you as a homeowner, even myself, to go ahead and protest these? One, I want to be able to walk y'all through how to read a tax notice. Now, unfortunately, I have not got my tax notice yet, so I'm utilizing an old property of mine to kind of walk y'all through this scenario. So you've probably saw this on your tax notice. They're going to they're going to break it down for every taxing unit, and you're looking at 2019 versus 2020. The biggest thing I want to share in there is a part of exemptions. If you have exemptions, in which a majority of y'all should qualify for your homestead exemption, if your home is your primary home, that is the most important exemption I would really recommend. And it's extremely important this year. And I'll explain why in a little bit. But two, if you're a disabled vet or you have any disability, you're over 65, you want to make sure that you have that taxing or those exemptions on your property. So you will see in regards to on this, there's exemptions on that bottom line, and it will say which exemption you have. If you have not filed for your homestead exemption, it's extremely important you do that as soon as possible. That the deadline for that is April 30th. What that exemption does is it caps the county from increasing your taxable value by 10%. So to give y'all an idea, the values have gone up 19%. They cannot tax you on that full amount. You will be capped at only 10%. This is to give you an example. You'll see in 2019, this specific property was valued at $461. This was prior to the homestead being implemented. The next year, you're going to see their complete market value was $574, but having that homestead cap, the 10% of the previous year, which is about 46,000 and some change, that was the most they could increase it, which is why this property specifically was only taxed at 507 versus the 574. This most San Antonio tax rate, if you're inside the city, you're going to be looking around 2.5 to 2.8% tax rate. That all depends on which school district you're in and other locations of your property. If you're located outside of the city, we see more closely to a 2.1 or 2.2 because the city of San Antonio has a 0.5% tax rate. And then depending on school districts, I'm in Northside, so our tax rate's 1.3 for Northside. Northeast side is different. Alamo Heights is different. Bernie, all the different school districts have different percentages. So that's why it's so important. If you do have your homestead, you're getting taxed by many taxing units. You want to have that homestead on there, as well as protest and fight those taxes to keep that amount down. So this is just how to read this and understand it. You'll see those different aspects. And if you have questions about that, we'll talk about it here at the end. But the homestead one is very important. And if you're going to protest your taxes and you realize you don't have your homestead, you can actually apply for it online as well. So how do I file? So online is the most recommended one because it's the easiest and fastest, and you get confirmation. So I'm going to walk y'all through that as well to set that up. Or you can also do it by mail. This was one of the ways majority of people would do it, is sending it by mail. My only hesitation in that is not knowing if they've received it. If you do want to send it by mail, you can. I would highly recommend that you send it certified to get a return receipt that they did receive that notice in that protestment file. So I would recommend going in online because it's going to be super easy. You should have, when you received your notice, there on the corner of your notice, there's going to be a property owner ID and a PIN number. You will need the information in order for you to create your online registration. If you have not received your notice and you've only seen the estimate online, you can still do this by going on and emailing right here. And this is all on the Bexar County website, but csefile@bcad.org and request for your property owner ID along with your PIN number. They might ask for some additional information just to make sure your name matches the ownership of that property. And then that will allow you to get that and do everything online. When you go online, you're going to go to bcad.org, so bcad.org, and you're going to go into this online services. If you already have an account, then go ahead and log in and go through that process. If you don't have an account, you will go ahead and create one with that owner ID and that PIN number. So what can you protest? There's 4 things that you can protest. 1, excessive value, believing that your appraisal value is higher than what your home is really worth. The second one is an unequal appraisal. This one can be a little bit confusing, but to explain it is, let's say your neighbor, you look at their tax value and there was an increase that was lower than the percentage of increase of your house. And your question, well, this home is very similar to my house. Why are they getting a lower increase and I'm getting the higher increase? Well, it has to be proportion per everyone. So that's another way we can do that. The third way is failure to grant exemption. So if you did file for your homestead exemption and it's not on there, or you have any disability, you have any, you are over 65 and you have that cap and it's not showing up on your notice, you can also go ahead and do that because they forgot to put those exemptions. Another one is failure to provide notice. This is meaning that they have not notified you of your value. This all came in mail, which a majority of y'all probably received that this week. If you have not, you want to make sure you've protested because you did not receive an official notice. Now, if you haven't got it, you could go to bcad.org. And I'm going to go back on a slide. You can actually go to that property search, put in your address, and on there, you'll have your estimate value. Probably within the next week, they will have a PDF notice attached to that, and you'll be able to obtain that notice. But I would highly recommend, if you have not received your notice yet, because the majority of everyone in San Antonio or in Bexar County and even the surrounding counties are receiving that this week. Reason why is you have to file by May 15th or no later than the date you received your notice. Now, they're shooting to have all these notices out by tomorrow so they can meet that May 15th and that 30-day period. So you have to file by that deadline on your notice so that you can take advantage of this chance. Now, once you go ahead and do that, the ARB, that is the Appraisal Review Board, they are going to set a date. Typically, we've seen it pretty popular on a Saturday or an evening hearing. And so they'll give you a date once they've received your protest request. There are right now, skipping ahead, I apologize. Right now, there are multiple ways. It does not have to be in person. It can be in phone. It can be done via Zoom. You can also have someone do it on your behalf. So we'll talk about those ways. So what to expect? So once you go ahead and you protest it and you've heard that you're going to have your hearing, so the ARB hearing, they're going to send over to you about 2 weeks before all the remedies of everything you can do. They're going to give you a copy of the procedures. I'm also have a link right here, and we will follow up with this link for you to download. This will have all the instructions of what's going to happen in this hearing. And then also a statement that you're entitled of anything that they have. So any factual information, how they came up with this value, you can request for that information to get that so that we can see how they valued your house. And then you need to have your information to say how you're going to file against this and protest this and what information you're going to provide to them. So again, what to expect prior to your hearing. You may inspect and obtain a copy of all information that the appraisal district plans to introduce to the hearing. Also, request to get any information they have. What comparables did they do? How did they come up with this value? And then what we can do is you can spend some time at the appraisal district if you're having any issues with them to get like more certified information. But thankfully, they've gotten pretty advanced and they're able to send everything through online just because with COVID, they figured out how to do that. And you can request a copy online. They may not charge you for some information. Some of them will. I know Bexar County does not. I am not 100% familiar with Kendall County, Comal, or the surrounding counties if they charge you for that. But it's safe to assume that they will not charge you for that because it's typically something you're entitled to. So preparing for that. So one, having those procedures. So again, we will send you all those procedures to have in a PDF version, but you want to have your evidence, your hard copy of all your evidence, even electrical side, making sure you're on time. These hearings are typically between 20 to 30 minutes. So punctuality is extremely important. If you miss that time, they're going to move on to the next person. So once that gets scheduled and you have that time scheduled, then you're going to be able to present all your evidence as well too. And we'll talk about some evidence and how that works. So what the appraisal review board process looks like. You're going to meet when you've gotten your notice date of when your hearing is going to be. They're going to have a group of people who sit on this board to review everything. During this process, both you and the appraisal district will present all the evidence and take questions to be able to handle this process. These things that you can provide are an appraisal, a market study. If you've built a house, the cost of what it was to build the house, there's a lot of things that it's better to be over prepared than under prepared. So again, these hearings last about 15 to 20 minutes. Once the hearing is done, you will receive a notice of the final order, meaning what their final decision was via certified mail. Now, the online service as well too will be able to update you on that. These processes will typically begin in June and will allow you to do four different ways. You could do it by phone, so you can call in, be able to present your case via telephone hearing. By an affidavit, this means you are submitting your evidence in a written affidavit. You are not meeting in person. You are not having a communication with them. I'd highly say don't go that route because you won't be able to actually communicate with the board and share anything of your evidence. This is just saying I'm going to mail it in, send it in, and then they'll give you a response afterwards. The most popular one I'm going to see is the virtual meeting Zoom. So I would highly request that because that will allow you to hear virtually, be on Zoom, give them all your evidence and have all that information. Or lastly, in person, and in person can be requested. Typically, these are at a later date. These won't be in June. They will do most of the phone, the paperwork, the affidavits, and the virtual ones first, and then schedule the in-person ones as well. So as you're doing that, make sure you request which one you want to go and the one that you prefer. I highly recommend going the virtual route of doing the Zoom meeting. Makes it easier for them as well as for you guys. How can we help? So how can the Castillo Group as a real estate team help? Even your real estate agent help? One, this is just recent, you bought your house with us in the last year and you did financing on home, review your loan appraisal. Typically an appraisal can supersede what they have said. So if the appraisal value of when you purchase the home is less than the market value on your notice, we can utilize this as evidence. If you don't have a copy of it, because most of you guys, I will say there's so many emails, so many tasks that are happening, it could get lost in your email. Reach out to us. We can assist and grab that from either your lender. We typically have copies of it in our document database, but if you don't have any help, let us know. We can get that information back to you. Just to give you a little bit of a story, one of our team members, she is going to be protesting her taxes. She has an appraisal showing, she recently just bought her house, showing that appraisal value is way lower than what they have it at. So she's going to be submitting that into documentation. That's typically your best bet. Now, if you bought with us like in previously, it might be a little bit harder for you to utilize that appraisal since values have jumped up. This has to be very recently in the past year that this has happened. But not only that, if you don't have that appraisal or that appraisal is not good enough evidence, we can also do a comparative market analysis. This is CMA. This would show the current market value of your house, what your house could sell for in today's market. I am going to give a disclaimer because obviously we talked about there's a 19% increase in value. Homes are increasing month after month. Since they've increased, the market value of today could be higher than your county appraisal value, but we can talk with you about that. We can share with you what we're seeing if this is enough evidence that you could take. The downside to it is if it is higher and you submit that, the county could utilize that and say, we actually need to increase it. So I would not submit any CMAs or anything that does not help you when it comes to that protest. Lastly, if you do not want to do this yourself, you don't have to. We can connect you with a professional who can protest your taxes on your behalf. There are some fees associated. So if you're interested in this option, connect with us and we can do an introduction to a professional. We are not professionals with helping people protest them. It's not our forte, but we are professionals in providing factual information and data to help you protest in either yourself or to help give to a professional to help you protest it. I have seen they are sometimes on a commission based or a fee structure. Commission based is they get a percentage of whatever you saved. Fee, they do flat fee. So we can connect you with that so you can learn more about those aspects. But the biggest thing is you want to have evidence to show. So the appraisal is going to be your hard evidence that you can provide for the to the county. The second would be a comparative market analysis. I just did this for one of our clients. Her value was extremely high, and she had a house that was only 900 square feet, and they were comparing it to properties that were a lot larger than hers. When we looked at it, it was almost $70,000 higher than what the market study was showing. So we provided her a market study. She is utilizing that to protest to show that their values are too high of what they are assessing it for. So I would say if you don't have that, reach out to us. We will help you with that. And two, we're able to kind of really study the market and do similar homes that are just like yours versus doing homes that maybe have been remodeled, or some of them where they've listed, they just went crazy multiple offers and went way higher than what the market value has. The best thing in today's market was going to be that appraisal if you have it, just because in our market today, we're seeing people pay anywhere between 5% to 10% over the list price. So even though these houses are selling higher, buyers are willing to waive the appraisal and pay the difference. But those are, and we've seen them, those appraisals are coming in lower, but the sold price is coming in higher than that appraised value. That's why the appraisal is going to be your best, yet a market study can still help you. And we'll walk you through that. So that is really how you go through the process. You have to file and do it all online. You can mail it in. I'd highly recommend you do it online. Once that goes in, we can help you start collecting data. You have a due date by May 15th. So if you're questionable of even if it's worth protesting, let's talk and let's see if we can for sure give you some evidence to help. Or two, another aspect is if you have not filed for your homestead exemption, I highly, highly encourage that you do that this year so that you can still save and not have and only be capped at 10%. And so we can lower it and you have that homestead exemption, you might be in a good aspect. Because what will happen is once they finalize these tax values, they will be sending notices to your mortgage lender. Once the mortgage lender gets notice that your appraisal value is higher, you will then see a mortgage payment increase. And that's what we're trying to decrease, is that mortgage payment increase, as well as trying to save you guys money. The worst part about that is when they increase the tax value, your mortgage company will then say, okay, we have a new value on it. Your payment will increase to this new payment to compensate for your taxes. However, they don't do that until the middle of the year. So ideally, they raise that value higher because they also have to collect for the first half of the year. So they'd run it into a formula. And so ideally, we see your escrows increase higher than they should be because you're usually only having to fund this for half a year versus a whole year. So the lower we can get that amount for you and help you guys give that evidence for y'all, the better chance you have of keeping your mortgage payment either as low as possible or just a small increase. So that's why it's important to do this as soon as possible so that you don't see that increase in your mortgage payment happen here in the next couple months as the mortgage companies start adjusting for that. So of course, thank you. I always want to say thank y'all for your relationship. Our client relationship does never stops at the closing table. Our goal is to be your advisor, not only to just you, but your friends and family. Our business thrives on customer service and referrals. So if any of you guys have any family or friends that have any real estate related needs, they don't have to buy a home or sell a home for them to need help. If they need help with this, let us know. We want to connect and see how we can consult and advise you and them as well too. So that is the process from start to finish. You do it online, get your evidence, and then you'll have your hearing date. But there's a lot that can happen between now and May 15th. So talk with your agent, talk with our team, and we can guide you to make sure that you are in the best position possible. So now I'm going to open up to questions. I'm sure some of you guys might have some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing. And if you have any questions at all, we'll go ahead and open that right now for questions.
Yeah, hi, Zach. My name's Abraham.
Hi, Abraham.
Thanks a bunch for this. It's been very helpful.
Of
We bought a
course.
home with you guys in late 2020.
Okay.
And for 2021, I didn't file for a homestead exemption because we weren't living in the house. So I just got my appraisal and my property value compared to last year went up 22%, right?
Okay.
And per calculations of taxes, my taxes went up about 17%. So I guess my question is, one, like you said, this is beneficial, obviously, for the value of the home, but at the same time, it's going to increase the taxes. So is that reference like 22% in property increase versus 17% in taxes? Is that something that's normal? And also, if I have that homestead, that means it's capped out at 10%, right?
Correct. So yeah, to answer that, I mean, a 22%, we're seeing a lot of the people, I mean, I've seen in the news, everyone is seeing anywhere between like about 24 to 26% of increase from the previous year. So you're right in line with what a lot of San Antonio people are having. The market, what happened is in 2021, the county did not take into fact the market exploding. So they did not capitalize on the full increase that time. So right now we're seeing a higher, that 24 to 26% right now, because they're trying to capitalize on the previous year that they didn't capitalize on. So yes, that is right in line with what a lot of other people are seeing. So for sure, you can still file for your homestead. You have 2 years to apply for it. So if you bought it in late 2020, ideally, it goes into effect January 1st of the year you're living in the home. So you could have filed it in 2021 and it would have been applied. This is your second year. So you can apply now and then go ahead and still get that homestead and cap it off at 10%. And then utilizing any evidence, try and fight that down to keep that amount as low as possible.
Great. That brings to my second question, which I already have applied for homestead for 2022. But I'm not really seeing the exemption on the actual notice. So I would have to file for a hearing, right?
Yeah, well, if you filed for it and you're not seen on that notice, definitely file. You'll definitely want to file that protest because if you did not get that notice or they did not put that exemption on there. If I would just be on the safe side, create that online account and you might be able to see if it is applied or not. Mine is showing on it, so I can't say like, I can't give a response of like what it would look like if they didn't. So you want to make sure that you still apply for it again if needed, but to protest it because you're not having that exemption and protest the value as well too.
Okay, great, awesome, thank you.
No worries. Any other questions I can help answer?
Yeah, this is Evelyn. I have a question similar to the gentleman that was just talking.
Yes.
I did apply for the homestead and I saw on your first graph that you showed that there was an HS, which I believe is a homestead.
Yes.
But I don't see no amount on there. And I didn't see a difference in the calculation either. So all the amounts of value and the homestead value is exactly the same. So it doesn't seem like I got an exemption for it, although I applied for it.
Got it. Okay. So, Evelyn, would you mind, I can pull up your property. Do you mind sharing your address on the Zoom so I can pull it up?
Sure. 27462 Camino Tower.
Okay. I'm looking it up really quick. Okay. So I see it right here. So, looking at it, actually, it is showing the exemption. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see where you will see this. Alrighty, so right here, Evan, I have you right here, exemptions homestead. So it is on there. If it wasn't on the notice, it's kind of weird. It is showing it right here, and this is for 2022. So it does show it on the Bexar County website. Abraham, I actually, while you were talking, I searched yours. Yours did show here. So if it's not on your notice, but it's showing on the website, I would highly encourage that you still go online to the service and double check it's on there too, because you can verify your exemptions online. So it's showing on their website, not on the notice. Verify online, and for any reason, still, if you're going to protest them, still protest them, because then that will allow them to capitalize on that. And so for Evelyn right now, looking at this, and this is helpful for everybody, you will see on this page right here, there's a taxes without exemptions and taxes with current exemptions. So right here, you do have that exemption applied based off the website. So it is showing that homestead one, and you'll see you didn't actually, it's not showing like that difference amount right here. This is where they'll usually put the cap. But looking at yours, Evelyn, I'm gonna just.
I have my notice in my hand, and what you're seeing there on the screen, the tax with current exemptions and taxes without exemptions, that's not on the notice. That may be, that's why we're not sure we're getting it. So we can't see that on the actual printed notice.
Yeah, so that's very strange. They should match. They should show like an estimate with current exemptions and without. But typically it's going to show like a homestead cap right here. So like for this, it's showing 0. But let me just do some quick math. Yeah, because Evelyn, you had a 27% increase on yours, and it's not showing. Typically that homestead cap would state the 10% aspect of it.
Mhm.
I highly encourage protest it. I really do, making sure that you do get every the exemption gets applied correctly. Because the struggle you would run into is in October when they finalize the bill and they actually certify it, you can't change it after that. So if there looks like there's some discrepancies on it, we want to make sure that those discrepancies don't get missed and fall through the cracks. But same thing, you had a 27.8% increase. We want to assure that we can try and get that 10% cap, but 2, can we save you anything on your appraised value to assure that when it comes into it, maybe we can get it, you can, with the comps, with any appraisal, anything you have, we can get that amount in the lower 300 range and then still get that homestead cap on there as well too. So I highly still encourage you to protest that and file for that.
Okay, we'll definitely do the protest. So now, I guess on a sidebar, I guess maybe reach out to someone in your group that I guess is probably will do these, fight these appraisals. I don't know what the fee is.
Yeah, we can connect with you. So going in, who is your real estate agent on our team? I think it was
Tyler.
Tyler. I was going to say that. So yeah, reach out with Tyler. He'll be able to kind of walk you through and do more of a personal one-on-one conversation with you, really look at it. And what he'll do is run a market study. Based on that market study, we can see, okay, this price, because they have you at 363 is the full value on it. Let's make sure, like, if what the market value is showing, if that's lower, that's going to help. And then as well, when you give that as evidence, maybe bring that amount down, as well as getting your exemptions, making sure those are added on there. So talk with Tyler. He can talk with you one-on-one. Same thing with you, Abraham, whoever your agent, you can talk with one-on-one. For some reason, y'all do not have any, like, I forget what their information is. Reach out to us. We'll connect with you. Either way, we can, myself, my wife, one of our team members, we'll be able to walk y'all through this process and do a one-on-one consult with you.
So now we're in Bernie, and so I know I did the homestead for Bexar County. Are we supposed to also do one for Kendall County, because we pay Kendall for the school district?
I would as well too. Kendall would be one. Your tax amount will be lower for them just because it's going to only be that small percentage of it. Mm-hmm. However, you want to make sure both values match. So going in with regards to Kendall and Bexar, when you protest, you're going to want to protest both of them because you want to make sure they value it at the same amount. I do want to say, if you win in the Bexar one, you can utilize that for Kendall. But the biggest is after that deadline approaches, if you didn't protest it, that's where you can kind of get a little bit unlucky, is you win one on one side, but you don't win it on the other side. So make sure you protest both.
But we only got a notice from Bexar County, the Bexar Appraisal District. We didn't get anything from Kendall.
Let's see, I'm looking.
And I'm glad Evelyn asked that question, because I'm in
Yeah,
situation.
so you actually might be getting the Kindle one here in the next week or two because their deadline for filing a protest in Kindle is March 31st. So that means they're probably going to be sending them by the end of this month to meet that 30-day notice. Oh, actually, it says right here, they will be mailed April 29th. So expect to see it here in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right, so then I guess we have to protest for both.
Yeah, I would do both just because, you know, even one of the largest percentages of the tax rate is the school district. So you want to make sure that you utilize that and get both of them for that. If you are in, because I know exactly where you live in that little overlap because you are in Bernie's school district, but you're technically in the county of Bear. You still have to pay for Bernie. So yes, you want to do both.
Okay. I know I didn't file, like I said, for the homestead in Kendall, so I guess I could file it as well at the same time.
Yes, I would do both of that. Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Zach,
You're welcome. And then
Zach,
I'm sorry.
Zach, do you have the actual deadline for Medina? If not, I can actually find it. I
Yeah, I
want
can
to
pull it
get
up
quick
really quick for
access.
you. Let's see if they've posted on theirs. They have not posted it, but I will work with my team to get kind of all the surrounding counties so that we can figure out that what all due dates, because every single county is going to be different. Ideally, they're always usually in May is when their due date is, but you want to make sure you beat that due date before it pops up. It's not showing right now on their website, so I'll work with my team and to kind of call and get some information. It is saying that they are about to be sending out the notices. They just have not posted that due date yet.
Appreciate it.
Perfect. And then I have next question, Shawnee.
Hi, Zach. I actually have two questions. One pertaining to the name of the property owner. So I'm not married, but it's my fiance and it shows 100%. Do I got to go back in and correct that to 50-50 or do I just leave that alone?
That's a great question. But you are have ownership of the house. Is that correct?
Correct.
You're on title. So if you're on title, that's how it typically is for couples. It will always show 100%.
Okay.
It'll show differently if you're typically like it's an investment and you have two owners that are not related. You'll see, I've seen it in the past. There's two property account IDs. One will show 50, the other person will show 50. But that's more on the investment side. So you are fine with that 100%.
Okay. And the second question I have is what sort of hard evidence do they look at typically, like when we're protesting or we're in front of a panel or whatever?
Yeah, so the biggest is one, they're looking for market information. So that CMA, that comparative market analysis, they're wanting to see, well, the way we structure is what are similar homes like yours selling for or what they've sold for. That shows prices. So they want to see those prices. The other aspect is too, the best one is the appraisal because they'll go off a licensed appraiser of what they appraise your house at.
Okay.
And then the other one, because we talked about similarities of an unequal value, those are where, let me show y'all on the county site, because this is where you can get, like if you're wanting to do some research, and this is where if you do decide to hire someone, this is what they do.
Okay.
But like for Evelyn, when you had yours, you could actually go to your this map search, and all counties have this map search, and you can go through and say, okay, here's where my property is. You can click on your neighbor's properties and go and look at theirs to say what value, what percentage are theirs increasing to. And that can be that unequal value side by clicking on each person's house around you and saying, are they all matching, or is there some type of aspect where it is not, like somebody only got a 10% increase and you guys got the 25% increase? That's another way that you can protest to give accurate information. This is what I will say, most of those professional companies are doing all this data to do that. So it just depends on where you're at. I would say talk with your real estate agent. Let's look at it and we can give you a little bit of advice of what the best plan of action can be.
Okay. So anything that has to do with the street, like the sidewalks, the driveways, the streets, anything like that, that's not applicable?
That's not applicable. What they're focused on is they don't really ever see the inside of your houses. That's what, I don't know exactly how they come up with the formula, but they're pretty much going in saying what are homes selling for? What does your square footage look like? And then it's a automated system that increases the value in those percentages.
Got it. Okay.
So what I've seen is what the one client I was talking about where there was a huge discrepancy is all the homes around her. She lives in an older home. All the homes around her, they're going to that gentrification aspect where their investors are buying and flipping them and remodeling. Her home does not match the quality of what these homes are selling for. So we're able to give a little bit more factual information to show there's no upgrades. There's nothing that has been done. These homes have been fully remodeled. They're not the same, and you can't value them at the same. So that's a different approach with that market study that we're going to be able to provide, because we can actually give y'all photos of the inside, show you like what the MLS is specifically saying of upgrades and changes that have done. And then you can show what yours has, and that will be also evidence that you could give. My best advice I can give is the most factual evidence you can provide, even if it's a big binder, get them to be overwhelmed with the information so that you can justify your case. We have seen a majority of the time they will settle somewhere between like about 70–80% of the time they will settle on the value as you're working through that process. So there is a good chance of you winning that. And right now they are, a lot of the news is doing it. A lot of our real estate professionals are doing it. They're all encouraged, protest them. Even if you can save 20,000 from the value of it, that makes a huge difference when it comes down to that tax rate.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any other questions I can help answer for y'all?
One real quick one, Zach. The address, the website to log into the online duty to create the account, is that the comptroller.texas.gov?
That one is going to be, that's how the hearing process procedure goes. The one you want to go to, I believe you said you were in which county again?
It's Bear.
You're in Bear. Yeah. So in Bear County, I'll show you, I'll share my screen again. So when you go, you'll want to go to bcat.org. Right here, you'll go to online services. So it's right on that first page, kind of gives you a little bit of instructions of everything. They do have a video library to walk y'all through. But when you click on here, if you've already created this, then this is how you log in. But you'll want to go to create new user ID. And then on your notice, you'll have your owner ID and a PIN number. That's how you can start creating your account if you have not created an account. And then through that process, it will walk you through how to do it. I was trusting that I would have my notice by today. I have not gotten my notice yet, so I could have walked y'all through this process. But I don't have mine yet. And some of my team members hadn't gotten it yet either to walk y'all through that. But they do have the video library of it. If you've not received it or you cannot find it, right here, it walks through that you can actually email them to request for it. So I'd highly encourage email them if you don't have that information or you're struggling. You have by May 15th for Bear County to get that. So I'd highly encourage you to do that online. To me, it's the best possible way to do it because you get confirmation and you get all the information with it.
Awesome. So it's bcad.org, correct?
Yes, sir. bcad.org. And on the homepage, you'll see online services, and that's where you'll do it. You can also apply for your homestead on there if you have not applied for it yet. If you're not going to do it online, you can actually go to the forms section, go to your exemptions. This is like the old school way that we all had to do it. But you'll have right here your homestead exemption form, and you can fill this out and mail it in. If you're going to mail it in and you have any questions about, let us know. We can help you all with this. We've helped a lot of our clients with this in the beginning of early this year, but you just have to fill this all out. You can actually fill it all out online, print it off, sign it, and mail it in. Some of our team members, they've printed it off, mailed it in, and they've also grabbed the PDF version and emailed it to that same email address as well. They have confirmed that they have received it. So there's multiple ways. I'd rather do it like 3 ways, make sure that they got it and save money than hope that when I mailed it in, they received it, and then I find out that they didn't, and I can't contest it after the deadline. So multiple ways for you guys to do this process.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Shani, did you have another question?
No, sorry, I didn't.
Oh.
Thank you. Sorry.
It's okay. No worries. No worries.
Okay.
Any other
Zach.
questions?
Zach, this is Mitch Childers. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Yes, I'm looking at my appraisal notice, And my exemptions are homestead and over 65. And 4 of the 7 taxing units are frozen. The rest, I guess, are subject to increase. My question is that, does it really make that much a difference if I protest because of this? Because I can't see where it would be that much of an increase, where it would be a huge difference as far as what my mortgage payment would eventually be.
Yeah, so looking at yours, I just pulled up your account online just to pull up.
Okay.
So looking at yours might not be, I mean, your value did go up. Let's see. It went up 15%, but of course they cap you at that 10%. Your biggest ones that you're gonna see is like the school district one. You know, they cap that. You can see on yours, like they have their tax ceiling.
Yeah.
You might not have, you know, I mean, with over 65, it pretty much freezes you at a lot of them. It might not be worth you doing. So you do have really good exemptions and a good tax rate. So, I mean, I probably would not, because it's not you might not see a huge difference.
Yeah, I think last year when I went onto the BCAD, I think they have a place there where you can compare what the taxes were last year to what it would be this year. And I think it was only like, I don't know, like $39 difference or something like that. So it would, and plus I protested and they denied my protest anyway. They didn't give me squat. So, but, you know, I figured, well, maybe I didn't present enough evidence, you know, and I was using Zillow as examples of comparables, which is really all I got. But I did reach out to Darden, so he's going to try to help me with this if
Yeah,
possible.
talk with Darden, he can look at it, because I'm looking at your like 20. So I can, you can actually, for everyone, y'all can look at your county on that, and on the right side it says tax year, and you can go back different years. So your 2021 was 3883, and then this year you're at 39. So it changed about $100. So it's not too bad of it. But talk with Darden, he can review it a little bit more. And if anything, a lot of our agents, if they're looking at, they'll reach out to me as well too. And I can kind of study it and see if there's any recommendations I could provide as well. So yeah, talk with Darden. He could take a little bit look, but you didn't have, I mean, the value's probably increased, but your tax ceiling is what's saving you right now.
Okay, also, I think we failed to also apply for a disabled person exemption. So,
Oh, I would definitely do that then.
okay, so that would just add on to it then?
I'm sorry, that one's not it's showing homestead and other.
Right, but we have not applied for that.
Oh, you have
so-
not applied for it. Yeah, so I would
So-
still apply for that. You can do that online through the service and apply for those exemptions. So definitely would recommend you do that, because for the disabled, you actually get a discount. So with over 65, it freezes it. With this having a disabled person, you actually get a discount of it. So I would definitely encourage that to have that.
No, my wife is the one that's disabled, so I'm assuming that she would be, it would count if she was the one that, when I applied for the disabled.
Yes, as long as she owns that house, then yes. And
Okay.
so I mean, I'm assuming she does, because you live there as well too. So
Right.
So yeah, if she's an owner, she can apply for it. It's very much like the veterans, veterans who have their VA disability. You know, the husband or the wife, whoever has it, it goes to the whole account. So it's not just like 50%, it's 100% of it.
Okay, I have another quick question. It's my understanding that in this coming up election in May, that there's a amendment that they're introducing to increase the homestead exemption from 25 to 40. Are you aware of that?
I have heard of that. I don't have enough information to kind of give advice on that, but I have heard there is some talks about that. And really, when I heard it, it just sounded really confusing. I didn't understand 100% of it. But I can do a little bit more research, because I think that's going to be very important for all of you guys. So
Because I think a friend of mine sent me like a sample ballot of that, and it was in there. But whether or not, well, you know,
This is Shawnee. I just got a letter in the mail from the Secretary of State with that amendment.
So that is going to go through, correct? You think?
Okay, I just pulled it up really quick. So yeah, so it is one of the propositions that they're doing. Would increase the homestead exemption for the school district properties from 25 to 40,000. The increase would take effect for this year. So there is right now going in. I'm going to do a little bit more research. I know back in 2015, they did pass one that increased it from 15 to 25. So they are trying to increase that to 40. So I'll do a little bit of research to see how we can kind of interpret this for you guys. Because that could be, we want to make sure you guys have all the information possible to really understand the homestead exemption. Because it's extremely important to have that, especially if there are changes that could affect that.
Okay, well, then I guess I can just encourage everyone to register to vote.
Yes. Yeah, I would definitely. Those are those other aspects. I mean, there's a lot of other people I know. We are part of the North Side Independent School District fundraising and all that. I know they're proposing a new bill or a new bond, but they're actually not going to increase their rates. They're looking at just getting a bond. So there's a lot that's coming up with this election that a lot of people are pushing. I would highly encourage and just educate yourself, see how this could help you. But this is something that it could be definitely beneficial if we can increase that homestead exemption just to be able to save the amount of money that you, as the values continue to increase. We are not predicting to see another increase of like 19% next year, but it's still going to be a lot higher than the average 6%. So as those are increasing, that's the homestead exemption is going to be a lot more beneficial to have that.
Okay, another thing real quick. I noticed that there's been a big uproar about this year. The last years haven't been, most people have no idea what's going on with this. They get their appraisal value notices and they just, I don't know, maybe they just throw it away or whatever, but now there's been a lot of attention to this. There's been a lot of talk online about protesting this, but they don't know how to do anything. And I'm no expert either. I've been doing it for quite a long time, but I just, want to reach out to everybody that if you can help anyone, it would be great, because there's a lot of people that really don't understand how this process works.
Yes, very true. So, I mean, I will say in the previous years, even when I had my home before or a different home on my homestead, I waited 1 year too late, or not 1 year too late. I waited 1 year, but I didn't see that big of an increase from that 1 year to the next. So it wasn't that bad. However, then the following year it increased higher, and then now they're just continuously increasing. And so it is important to be able, one, have your exemptions, and two, contest it, because a 25% on average increase is a huge increase, especially depending on some of y'all's house values. I mean, at a $200,000 house, that's a $50,000 increase. That's a lot of money. And then of course, when the worst part is that it applies to your mortgage payment. And so your mortgage payment increases, and a lot of people aren't prepared for that. That happened to me. And I was actually negative in my escrow because they didn't factor in the amount correctly. So at the end of the year, they said, we need to collect an additional check. And that's not a fun experience to go through, especially during the holidays. And they say, we need this so that we can pay your tax bill. So a lot of people actually, they start becoming reactive towards the end of the year when it's unchangeable, versus being proactive right now, being able to save what you can so that when those mortgage payments do increase, because the thing is they will increase to reflect these taxes. It's just to be able to minimize the amount of money that you might be responsible for. And we've helped a lot of sellers where they do have back pay taxes. And it's unfortunate when it comes time that you do need to sell and you do have these back pay taxes that the county is still trying to collect from you. So it's best to be proactive versus reactive.
And this disabled exemption, that form, I can pull that off of BCAD.
Correct. Yeah. So it's actually that same form of the homestead one. You have the disabled. So when you go in, you'll just check off disabled person, and then you'll fill out all the information that is in regards to that. Same thing for anyone who's over 65. If they have not filed for it, sometimes it's automatic, sometimes it's not. I'm the person that I just like to be over prepared. So on there, you could file for your general homestead, a disabled person over 65. If you're a disabled vet, you could do that. If you're a surviving spouse, you can do that as well too. So take a chance just to really look at that. You can do it on the form or do it online.
Oh, you can do it online.
Correct. Yeah, they have right now. I want to say disabled veteran, you can't do online because you have to prove paperwork. I'm not too sure about disabled person because you might have to provide additional paperwork too. But go in on there, it has all the instructions of everything on the county website and on those forms. So each form at the last page has all your general instructions of how to do it.
I want to mention that, I did go to one of these person-to-person appeals downtown, and it was quite a daunting experience. And, the way that they do it, they really kind of rushing you through it. And after you give your evidence, basically there's a county clerk there, or whoever, a clerk there, and there's those 3 board members. And basically what they say is either you accept what the clerk is giving you, or we'll make the decision for you. And it may be less or it may be more, but they won't tell you what it is. So you have a decision to make, either take the other guy's offer, or if you don't want to do that, then it's up to them to tell you what it is. And
Yeah, it can be a little daunting. Yeah. So,
yeah, they're very good at poker faces. They won't, you try to get them to like give you some kind of a hint, whether they're going to say something that's lower than him or whether it's higher. And they just look at you with a blank face, waiting for you to tell them what to do. So it kind of puts you, in a situation where you have to make a very quick decision on what you want to do. So
yeah,
it was a pretty daunting experience.
thank you for sharing that. That's very helpful for everyone too. So, I mean, again, I would say if everyone speak with your agent, we can kind of do a one-on-one and really walk through, because we want to make sure that if that does happen, I always say you want to feel comfortable and confident with anything you do. If you have all the information that justifies it, you're going to be confident with it. And then we can kind of walk y'all through that process too.
And we can file for these exemptions at any time.
You could file for your homestead. You have up to 2 years of after living in that property to file it. So for you, I know, or I think it was Abraham, like he wasn't sure. It's 2 years of you living in the home. So if you bought in 2020, you can apply up to 2022. And then after that, that's when the aspect of it falls off. And then for disability, you can apply for it whenever you have it. It's just the earlier, the better. So yes, you can apply for them whenever,
Okay.
but except for homestead, it has to be 2 years.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thank you guys, everyone. We really appreciate it. We're going to have this recording and send it out to everyone just so they have that. Again, reach out to your agent if there are any specific questions, or reach out to our team and we can kind of walk you on a one-to-one basis. We can jump on Zoom, share the screens and kind of walk through everything. And then we'll go back, do some homework and present that to y'all just to empower y'all to make the best presentation to these people with the board, the ABR, the Board of Review. So if there's anything else that we can help with, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We always want to be an extension and a resource for y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you very
Y'all
much.
have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Have an amazing Easter as well too with your families. Enjoy
Okay,
the
thank you.
time and have some good family time in this beautiful weather.
Okay.
You as well. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Zach.